and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
And you're listening to Power Talks, and we wish you a good morning. Good morning from Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning from Power Talks, where we believe talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. Good morning, Melody. How did you weather that storm that's been hitting you?
Well, good morning, and I'm here, so knock on wood, we were able to keep our power, and the official report says we got about a foot of snow, but it was really hard to determine with the amount of wind blowing and the drifting and so forth, but the actual government number is somewhere around a foot of snow, and of course today we're getting the deep freeze coming out of the Arctic, and of course heavy winds once again today, so there'll be continued drifting. The state of Maryland is still under a state of emergency, and when you live close to the beach, I don't live on the beach, but when you live close to the ocean, close to the beach, and they don't do anything to the roads. They tell you not to drive. That's their way of handling the emergency of any snowfalls in the area. And this will all be gone by Tuesday when we're in the temperatures of 40 and 50 come next week. So it's something that you bear with it and grin and bear it. And, you don't want to bear it, but you grin about it. And
you have to bear it.
It's too cold. It's too cold to bear it.
Don't bear that. No, not that kind of bear.
But it's affected, and I guess all the way up the coast. But in our little world here, again, they don't, they plow the very main roads, but they don't do any of the back roads, any side streets or anything like that. They pretty much just let it melt, and so a lot of people get stuck for a couple of days until it goes away. So
you're there until it melts. I remember watching a movie on that. It's 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and the snow on the mountain caved in, and they had to wait for it to melt till spring to get out.
Well, thankfully, I only have to wait till Tuesday.
Are you going to get a warm spell? A foot of snow is quite a bit of snow, but yet it's not. I mean, I tell you what, when I talk to them out there in South Dakota and some of the out west, when they get those snows, it's just unfathomable. You had how much snow? How many feet?
Well, look at
Erie. We count inches, and it's just crazy.
Look at Erie. They have 6 foot of snow,
right.
And their one snow came at 4 foot. So I can't imagine that a foot. And even a foot of snow is not bad, but it's the wind and the drifting that makes it. Because you can have a foot of snow, and the next thing you know, if it's at the wrong spot, you'll have 2 feet. And anyway, something
it does slow people down.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But the non-farm payrolls came out today, and everybody was all excited about ADP's report yesterday, Wednesday and yesterday, because they announced that there was like 250,000 jobs that were created. The government numbers, and I said this yesterday. I said it on the 4 o'clock program. I'm not sure if I said it on this one, but they're always wrong. ADP is always wrong. They never match what the government comes out with their reports. And they're either 100,000 too many or 100,000 less. And
what did you say the ADP was? Because I missed them.
ADP was 250.
Okay, 250,000.
The U.S. government came out today, and they created only 148,000 jobs in December. They were expecting 190, so only 148 jobs. The payrolls rose in December. This is according to the Labor Department. The biggest job gains by sector came from healthcare, which was 31,000. Construction was 30,000, and manufacturing was 25,000. Now, we've all been waiting to see some sort of a decline in the retail sector, and the retail sector showed 20,000 jobs lost. So the retail lost 20,000 jobs
in December,
despite the holiday shopping season.
They lost 28,000 jobs.
20,000 jobs.
20,000 jobs. Well, that's, yeah. Mm.
So, it's kind of interesting the timing of allowing these retail sector jobs come through during the month of December, when you have a lot of part-time jobs that are created for the holiday shopping season. So now I would have to think that January could be a pretty severe number. I mean, what is next month going to be? And who knows, they might revise this to even a lower number. And so it was definitely a disappointing number. And the unemployment rate held at 4.1%. And so they did revise November jobs up, of course. And so we'll see how this goes on. But yesterday we talked about the number of retail shops that are being closed. I don't know if I have my report right in front of me or not. It was a Business Insider report, and it talks about the number. They're expecting a huge number of retail stores next year or this year to collapse. I mean, basically bankruptcy. They're expecting 12,000 retail shops to close. And the numbers were, pretty significant. And I don't know. I know I'm rustling paper, and
that's okay.
I hollered at you.
Yeah, it's what's good for the goose is good for the gander,
But they're expecting let's see, it was a record year last year for store closings and retail bankruptcies. The number for last year is 9,000 stores, and that's far exceeding recessionary levels. There were 50 chains that filed for bankruptcy, and nearly 24 major chains, including Walgreens, Gap, Gymboree. They've announced to close more than 3,600 stores this year. I mean, these are significant numbers. Now, you can say it's because of online shopping. I disagree. I think there's something a little bit more going on. And, I mean, these are huge numbers. Plus, you're going to have all of these, and then you have to look at the multiplier effect. You have, in addition, you have these stores closing, these lost jobs. Multiply that by 3. You have mall owners. They're going to sue retailers to keep the stores open. There's a property group, one of the biggest mall operators in the United States, sued Starbucks this year after the coffee chain said it planned to close all 379 stores. And the mall owner demanded that Starbucks keep running the tea shops and coffee shops located in the malls, arguing in part that their closing would reduce traffic to the surrounding stores. So it'll be interesting to see a judge ruled in the properties group favor in December and ordered Starbucks to keep operating.
Well, do they have a contract? I mean, do they contract out for a certain length of time, like you do with when you rent or something? Do they have a contract for a year?
Usually in a lot of those contracts, they'll just let them expire and then they'll move out. But this wasn't a contract disagreement. It was if you leave, you're going to, interrupt the flow of traffic.
Well, I understand that, but how else can they force them to stay unless they're just forcing them on a contract? I don't see how you could force somebody to stay unless, how can you got to rent my house, you have to stay here. Unless there's a contract, it's something contractual that they have to.
You would think, but the report didn't say anything about the contract that they were. And I mean, even if it's a lease, you can pay your lease off and close. So it really wasn't a matter of the lease; it was just a matter of keeping the shop open. And I agree with you. How do you keep a restaurant or some sort of a shop from closing? How can the courts do that? So kind of interesting.
Very interesting. I don't know how you can. I'm not a Starbucks fan myself, but I don't know how you can force somebody to stay there. But I know the malls in our area, the rent must be astronomical that they charge these stores that come in there. And you'll see some that are just during the, we have a small mall in Jefferson City, and there's a larger one in Columbia. And, but you see some of these that are strictly just Christmas stuff. That'll come in just during those couple of months, and then they're gone. But there's, some of the cookie place that was there that made the fancy cookies, the big cookies and all that, they left a long time ago. They just can't keep people in there. Penny's is struggling. They brought in Ross's Dress for Less, and Penny's is struggling, and Dillard's, I think, it stays on. Sears closed. Sears is gone. We lost Kmart in Jeff City, which is, related to Sears, and there's just an awful lot of these stores that are closing down, and they're not able to make it. And I just don't know how you can force one to stay there unless it's contractual and they've got a contract for X amount of months or whatever. I don't see how you can just force them to stay there so that you can have customers.
I'm just reading what they agreed. So
I don't doubt you. I just try to figure out how they could do that. I mean, it's like I said, not that I'm a Starbucks fan, but I can see where that would be a draw, for the mall, because there's a Starbucks there. It would be a draw, or any other coffee shop. They ought to go after another coffee shop and maybe sell them, give them a little cheaper rent. Maybe they ought to lower their rent, because what I've heard is that the rent in these malls is pretty high.
Well, they used to be. I can't imagine that they would be anymore. But the number of store closings in the U.S. is expected to jump at least 33%, 12,000. And, of course, they're expecting another 25 major retailers could file bankruptcy after the 50 from last year. So,
and the younger people may not be bothered by this, and it's not like I go shopping all the time. But, when I want something or I want to look for a dress, I've got 2 weddings coming up this year. I'll be looking for dresses for those weddings. And when I want to do that, I want to go shopping. I want to try them on. I don't like to order it and then have to send it back because it's too small or too big.
Well, not only
I don't
that,
want to have to do that. I want to, and what it looks like on you. I want to go out and have that experience with shopping, but a lot of people don't do that anymore. They just order online and forget about the shopping experience. I guess I don't know. Well,
in particular, colors often are not what you
They're
see.
not true when you order. I ordered what I thought was a red coat several years ago. Do you remember Newport clothes? I don't even think they're around anymore. They were originally affiliated with Avon. Well, they had a coat, and it was so pretty, and it was double-breasted and had a little tail in the back, and it looked like it was bright red. In fact, he called it red, but it's maroon. It wasn't red at all. I mean, I wear it, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. That's why I prefer to shop. But anyway.
Well, yesterday when all news was on Steve Bannon and all the silliness going on between him and Trump and so forth, something that went undiscussed was the administration is planning to widely expand drilling in the U.S. continental waters. They unveiled a proposal yesterday to permit drilling in most U.S. continental shelf waters, including protected areas of the Arctic and the Atlantic, where oil and gas exploration is opposed by governors from New Jersey to Florida, nearly a dozen attorney generals, and more than 100 U.S. lawmakers and the Defense Department. Under the proposal, only one of 26 planning areas in the Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Gulf of Mexico, and the Atlantic Ocean would be off limits to the oil and gas exploration. I think we'll talk about this after the break, Beth.
All right. And it is Open Mic Friday, 717-300-1218. We forgot all about that, didn't we? It's Open Mic Friday. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about. It's 717-300-1218. One more time. 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually, there is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
$5 is a small amount to pay for a pocket full of power. And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and it is Open Mic Friday, so your calls are welcome. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody, you were on a roll when we went into break.
Well, yeah, we were talking about this proposal to open up the energy exploration everywhere except one particular place, and there's been a lot of, and not to support Obama, but this was also tried in his administration, and it was shut down because there were so many complaints from the various governors and so forth and whatnot. Now, this is just a proposal, but it is supposed to, be open for discussion and so forth before it does become final. I'm not sure, in 6 months or something like that. So you do have all of your governors and everyone out there crying about the waters. It strongly opposes any waters off our coastline being considered for inclusion in this leasing program, citing a $44 billion beach tourism industry that creates more than 300,000 jobs. A lot of those jobs are from overseers, too. But anyway, so you have governors from all the states, basically, that are opposed, from North Carolina, Maryland, Delaware, Florida. And they say that this proposal would also create about 280,000 jobs. And it would also... it would bring in $55 billion of taxes also. I'm just not sure. I don't know how I feel about this. I get that we should have our own, supply our own oil. I get that. Prices aren't going to go down. I don't think they would, because our pricing is a product of our fiat currency. So, and currently now we have our dollars, our petrodollars that are backed by oil. And that means we would be replacing the Saudis to provide the world with oil. I just don't know how it's going to work. And I'm really not sure what the environmental impact that it really has in the open waters. And I get, and a lot that I've been reading, it was all about, you're going to have your environmental disasters like Deepwater Horizon. Well, you know what? That was, it happened once. I can't base this type of decision on that one particular explosion. I get that the effects are still going on or being felt 7 years, 7-8 years later. I get that. That was a terrible, terrible situation. I don't think most of us really understand the impact that has had. But I don't think that happens on an annual basis.
No, it doesn't. And I think it's a good thing that we do the drilling. I think we have to take precautions. And I think we had that one down off the coast of, where was that? Trying to think. And that wasn't us. That was another country's drilling that blew up there. And we have had a few spills, but they've been very, they've been horrible, but they haven't, on the big picture, and I'm not downgrading them at all. On the big picture, though, I think we do need to be more independent from oil from the Middle East. I don't know if this will do it or not. Nobody wants to see the environment harmed. Nobody likes to see the little pictures of the little bitty ducks all covered in oil and tar, and they like to show that on TV.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it goes deeper than that.
But that's what they show you on TV, and they're still showing that. They're still showing that, and it hasn't happened in a long time, to my knowledge. But we're piping it in here. We've got the pipeline that's going across Nebraska and all through the United States. That we're piping in from Canada. I think it's wise to seek out other forms of energy, not to be forced on everyone like they have been, but I think it is wise to seek out other sources and to continually try to create new sources of energy. But in the meantime, I think we should seek our own oil and go for that. I think we need to do that.
Well,
I don't like to see it done. I don't like to see that the accidents either, but there's always been that. Always. Whether one on land catches fire or whatever, there's always something that happens. So
I agree with you. I feel we should be independent. But yet I still question, I know what big money does, what big business does, and I don't think they could really care about the environment. I don't think they could really care about what goes on. I do believe there is, and I guess it's to the degree. If they put up one one platform or two platforms versus 30 platforms, I'd have a problem with 30. One or two here or there, we have a caller. We have Joe is calling in from Arkansas.
Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
How are you doing,
Good
Joe?
morning. Yeah, I'm getting by still, and how are you all?
Doing good. Staying warm.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to comment on this business of the oil drilling that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And, it looks to me like the problem here is that there's so little honesty and sincerity on any side that you can't hardly trust anybody what they're saying and doing, of whether they mean what they say, because like the governors that oppose this offshore drilling, they say it's for environmental reasons, they say it's to preserve the beaches and to keep the jobs on the beach and all this kind of stuff. But, you wonder, are they really telling the truth, or is that just some pretext that they've come up with to oppose whatever the Trump administration wants to do? Because I think most of these governors are Democrats or are establishment Republicans that are opposed to Trump. So they are just going to come up with any kind of a pretext that they can to oppose anything that the Trump administration wants to do. So you can't trust that there's any honesty and sincerity on the part of these governors. On the other hand, we've got the oil industry, and of course they're always going to put out nice public relations statements about we care about the environment and all that kind of stuff. And probably the Trump administration is doing the same thing, and we can have oil production and we can have a good environment at the same time. Of course, they'll always put out these nice public relations statements, but then, you can't trust their honesty and sincerity either, and they're probably going to cut every corner they possibly can, to make as much money as they can while doing as little as possible to protect the environment. And if the government would just make it clear to these oil companies, that, yeah, go ahead and drill. We need the oil. We want the business, all this kind of stuff. But, you better not cut any corners. You better not cause any pollution. You better not cause any bad oil spills or anything like that. And if you do, you're going to be really, really, really severely punished. And, the chief executives of the company ought to be put in prison and this kind of stuff. If they cause any really bad environmental problems from what they're doing. If there was just honesty and sincerity all around, then I think this could be done. We could have a great environment, and we could have the oil production too, because I'm sure these companies are good enough. The technologists, the engineers, the technicians from these companies, they're good enough that they could figure out how to produce all kinds of oil, without damaging the environment. I know these people are smart. These engineers are good. They could figure out a way to do that. But, of course, it always cuts into their profits to do that, so they avoid doing that. So if there was just honesty and sincerity all around, if people weren't out to deceive so much, then I think this could work out to be a really good thing. But as it is, there's so much honesty and so much dishonesty and deceit. It turns into a real mess. That's what I think about this.
And when you have the amount of money that's involved, that's exactly what you're going to get. There's a lot of deceit, and not to stick up, again, I'm not supporting the past administration, but this was a proposal then too, and you had those same governors come out. Now, I don't know if there's more coming out this time to just obstruct from this administration or not, but I know a lot of these same governors and so forth came out during the Obama administration to complain and so forth, and that's why it never went through. I guess there's even some from the Department of Defense that came out, because I guess the Navy does things out there in the ocean and so forth. My question is, well, what are they doing out there? It's training and so forth, and it would disrupt that. So, so you do have a lot of different areas, and I agree with you. I'm not, with all this deceit, you just don't know what the truth of the matter is, and and how much impact it has. To me, I think that with the noise, you have noise pollution. You just don't have oil, but you have noise pollution, and you have the fishing trade. You don't know how that disrupts the fishing trades. You don't know, and I'm, and another thing I'm thinking of, when you have these millionaires and billionaires living off the coastal shoreline, that might disrupt their view. They'd be looking out at an oil platform instead of the whales going by or something. So, there's a lot that comes into play, and you're absolutely correct. There's just so much
deceit.
Deceit.
Yeah.
So much deceit.
Well, and there are some places in the world that have it worse than we do. Like I met a woman I know on the street the other day, yesterday in fact, and she's been I know her because she's got a business and she's been a customer of mine for something. And so I asked her how she was and everything like that, and she said that she had just been to Italy. So I asked her, oh, what's it like in Italy? And so she said, well, the economy is really, really bad. All the young people are leaving because there's no jobs in Italy, and they're trying to learn English, because that seems to be, they have no chance of getting into any kind of business unless they speak English. That seems to be the business language of the world and so on like that. So apparently Italy is very depressed and losing its young people because there's no jobs in Italy. And so what I said to that was, well, it sounds like the Italians are, into this wonderful world of globalism. And, of course, Italy is not that big of a country. And so naturally somebody somewhere in the world is always going to be able to produce pretty much everything cheaper than they can in Italy. So that's why there's no jobs in Italy. And she pretty much agreed with that. And then she said, but the Italian countryside is beautiful. Italy is beautiful. And nature's always beautiful. And we've always got that. But so apparently there's some places even worse than we are, and that's in one of them apparently is Italy.
Oh. There are for sure. So.
All righty, Joe. Thank you very much.
You have a great weekend, Joe.
Okay, thank you very much. You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We have another caller. We have Bob in Missouri calling us.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. I just want to wish you guys Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah. Now, this whole environmental thing is such a scam, you know. I remember seeing Gorbachev saying, we can't convince, in a speech, no less, saying we can't convince people of communism, so we're going to have to go through the environment. Mm-hmm. What these people have done and gone through and, inundated our children with this communist notion, because just think about it. The biggest liberals, the biggest environmentalists, do they say peep about China, who is the biggest polluter in the world, or India?
Yep.
Not a word. And notice that we've sent all our technology over to China. So the people who are the biggest environmentalists, they're the biggest traders in this country. They send all their technology over to a country. If they cared about the environment, they wouldn't be sending it to China. They wouldn't be sending it to India. They wouldn't be sending it to these third world countries, because we are by far the cleanest country in the world, in terms of environmental standards. And it's all been a big scam. We had the Chrysler plant here. Remember back in the Bush days?
Oh,
it's gone now. Just a vacated lot right there, They employed how many people? They say, no, we want to send it over here because we're just too corrupt and we're polluting the plant and stuff like that. Listen, this is an
well. Look at the coal industry. I think that's a good example too, is how clean our coal is, and they act like we're still back in the days where the coal towns were all covered with soot.
Well, and they said that they wanted, and that was under Clinton. We had the cleanest coal, and he gave these contracts to communist China.
Yep.
This is really just an act of war. It's all semantics, because if you look at it with any discretion at all, you see it's all a big lie. We've been sending our technology to places that are going to pollute this planet and destroy this planet. We're the cleanest people. Everybody should be coming here to learn how to do their environmental programs. But what do? They send our technology to another country so they can pollute this planet, because they want to bring down our technology, which means bringing down this country.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
Bring us down to a third world country. But
then they can take us over.
Well, they pretty much have.
Well, that's
we're not done yet. There's you and me and Melody. We're not done yet. They are invading us for sure.
They are, and anyway, listen, they're going to lose. I guarantee you. This is going to be a big year for America. They're going to lose, and so let's continue making them lose. And you guys have a great 2018. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. He has a lot of great points, and it is true. Prior to the EPA, there was, I can't remember the name of it, but there was, some factory disruption or something in Pennsylvania back in the 60s, or, and they started bringing in these rulings prior to the EPA being created in the 70s, early 70s. I think 1970 was when they were created. And gradually and slowly, the plants, they didn't have to have NAFTA, they didn't have to have CAFTA, they didn't have to have all these trade agreements, but a lot of the manufacturers started moving out because of the so-called restrictions and everything. And we do need to have some. The cancer rate along the Chesapeake is the highest in the country. And it really was because DuPont dumped. And they don't go after these big people that are these big conglomerates that are the ones that are polluting the waters and the streams. There's report after report that, because DuPont was dumping all that stuff into, the waterways, it came down, polluted all the Chesapeake, and that's why some of the highest rates of cancer are along that waterway. So, you put one and one together, and you add two and two, and it's, that's so. Where do we draw the line? And I agree. A lot of this has just been taken to be used to help with the destruction of this country, to to bring us down to a particular level. But then again, we still have to protect our waterways, or do we just accept it?
Well, and the rules are already there. You say, how can we safeguard? I mean, the rules and the laws are already there, and they obstruct them or they ignore them, so they go and they do the, bigger punishments for those big companies that do that. And, but we've had a lot of that. We've had a lot of, we have a company called Monsanto.
Monsanto, they're the worst.
In Missouri, and they do an awful lot. And, other countries have banned them. Yes. But not here. We open them up, we open our arms up and just give them big hugs. Yep. And, we do a lot of things. I don't think in the beginning that we knew they were going to harm the environment, and I'm coming from the agriculture side of it. They've learned a lot in agriculture, and I think there's still some denial as to how much some of these chemicals really stay and harm, and there's some controversy. Some people don't think that it does, and others say yes, it does, and it affects the food as well. But I think we've learned an awful lot, and we are growing, but the safeguards are there, but you're always going to have those who break the rules, and they're going to try and hide it, and they don't care who's affected. They don't care that the cancer rate's gone high. I mean, we've seen some of these issues that have taken place across this nation in different states. And, of course, the EPA, they think they're above the law because they messed up that river there in Colorado. I believe it was Colorado. And, it turned orange. It was nasty. But they said, Mother Nature will clean it up. Time will fix it. But if it had been you or me doing it, they'd have hit them with a big old fine. But I do think we do need to, getting back to the oil and that, I think we do need to try and be a little more energy independent, whether it's with oil, whether it's coal, whether it's with the electricity, the wind turbines. The funny thing about the wind turbines, they're only efficient in certain areas, of course. And the people that think that that's a great thing, and it's not a bad thing, but to make those big old turbines, have you ever seen those things? I've seen them hauling them on the highway before. Those things are huge. They don't look that big way up in the sky. But to make those, they have to have coal. They have to have coal to render that steel, so you can't get completely away from that unless you come up with something that's going to replace it, and they haven't done that yet. But I think it's a good thing to open up our drilling. Nobody wants to see an accident happen, but I agree with Bob. A lot of it gets blown out of proportion.
It does.
But we have seen some accidents that have been pretty bad. So we don't want that to happen again.
So my question is are they opening it up for energy independence, or is it related more to the selling of oil backed by our dollar? Because you had Pakistan yesterday. Are we getting pressure so much on our dollar that people are beginning to buy their oil in other currencies that somehow this might offset some of that? Is it a coincidence that the timing of this? Is it a coincidence? Pakistan came out and said they're no longer going to use the U.S. dollar, that when trading with China they're going to use their currency. Now, who's Pakistan? I can't imagine that what they purchase is all that great. But on the other hand, it creates a beginning. It creates doubt. It creates, and we know our currency is all based on confidence. So, you might have one little country, two little countries, three little countries, but you start adding them up, and then all of a sudden you have bigger countries, that are deciding to, well, you know what, we're not going to use the U.S. dollar to process these transactions anymore. And eventually it becomes,
well, and two, we've got the globe, the nations, countries, we're in such a turmoil and volatile right now. If war broke out, if something happened over in the Middle East and they stopped selling to us, what would we do? We would have to have our own, wouldn't we? I mean, that's a huge if. I do understand that, but I mean, And I had a son, and somebody just actually sent me a message that's listening to the show. But I had a son, my youngest son, years ago. He was studying some of this. He said, "You know what we ought to do is buy all the oil we can from foreign and save ours." And that's what somebody had just sent me a message that's listening to us right now. Buy all of theirs and save ours, and we'll sell ours when the time is right. So I don't know.
And,
I do
true.
think we need to drill, though.
Timing is everything. And again, is it for energy independence, or is it because we're heading closer and closer to war, knowing that those lines will be shut down, particularly with Iran, and they control the strait, the Strait of Hormuz. I think that's what it is. So is this all beginning? Is this all coming in preparation? I mean, China came out yesterday and said, "Hey, no, they're training their military for war." So,
yeah. Well, and not just the drilling part of it. That's going to add jobs, but they're going to have to build more refineries, or get our refineries open back up and up to date, because we're going to need the refineries if we're pulling the oil out of the ground. So. And
that's the biggest refinery in the country is owned by the Saudis. So, there's so much more to
now.
it. Well,
that's now. But tomorrow it could be us. Tomorrow it could be us.
Okay.
Saudis today, USA tomorrow.
Okay. They just bought it, so I don't think they're going to give it up that soon.
Anyway.
But so yeah, there's a lot of certainly a web that has been weaved, and you try to connect the dots and to see who is the most beneficial. And I'm just I always want to be positive, but I've also learned that you really have to look and read between the lines and try to connect them.
Absolutely. Well, and I do think Bob's right. I think that, a lot of that is propaganda, and you have to kind of...
It is.
And it's like Joe said, you don't know who to believe. They're also deceitful.
Yeah.
You don't know who to believe. Do I hear music already? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. We're going into a break. Your calls are welcome. It is Open Mic Friday at 717-300-1218. It was a short week because we had a holiday the first of the week. 717-300-1218. And it is 2018. I thought, well, did I say the wrong thing? 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our Listen and Schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We're in the final segment of today's show, which is Open Mic Friday. Again, we're in the final segment. Don't wait till the last minute to call. 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. We've had a kind of a short week, Melody. We had a holiday at the first of the week, and it's been hard to get caught up. I don't know about you, but...
I know, when you said it was Open Mic Friday, I thought, Friday? It's only supposed to be Thursday.
Yesterday. You knew yesterday it was, because you announced it.
Well, that was yesterday. Did you have to make that a...
You blinked and slept since then.
Yes.
Well, that's why I keep a paper. I have, for you and I have a little pink sheet. I've got a pink legal paper, and I keep, I don't do a really good job, but I keep one for every day of every show. And, so today is show number 104. I number the shows. Today is show number 104.
Okay.
And I did take a few notes today that you talked about the job report and what the ADP was and what the U.S. Report was, that they were different. And so I do try to keep those on. Sometimes all they do is have the date and title Power Talks. But I do keep it, so it's in front of me, so I know. And I wrote down before we ever went on the air today, it was Open Mic Friday. So.
Well, I just want to encourage, maybe perhaps a caller that hasn't called in yet to give us a call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just tell us where you're at, even if you just want to say it's cold or warm where you're at.
Don't brag too much, though.
But give us a call. There's a lot of things to talk about, and sometimes we have a tendency just to stick to things that are near and dear to our hearts, and and there's a lot of topics to discuss out there. So give us a call, and we would love to hear from you.
717-300-1218. That is the number to call, 717-300-1218. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you didn't give the number. You told them to call. Oh, we have a caller. We have a caller all of a sudden. We have Carol in Oklahoma. Carol, how are you today?
Just fine. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hey, Beth Ann, I have a problem with WWCR.
Okay.
You go to 12160 at 10 o'clock for your program, and I can no longer get it, and I've called them numerous times, and they say it must be my radio and give all kinds of excuses. But I always turn to that channel when you go off the air, so in case I can get you, it'll come on. A couple of times in the past month, it has come on for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then it's like someone throws the switch. And it in my radio.
Well, that's nice to know, since I pay them every month.
You bet.
And I pay a lot.
This has been the last 3 years. I can't get that. Can no longer get that now. Just recently that I've left it on so I could see, just in case I could get you, because I enjoyed that program so much.
Do you have a computer?
No, I don't.
Or a cell phone?
No.
Okay. Okay.
A cell phone.
And I am on the air on a station in Oklahoma. It's KLRB. I'm trying to think where. It's around Stewart, Oklahoma. I don't know where that is according to where you are.
Goodness.
So.
No, I can't get it.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, we'll have to see what's going on with WWCR.
But, yeah, somebody is sabotaging, I believe, because they have to do it during your show because they couldn't wait till Alex, because that's who they're probably after. But they have to do your program so that it doesn't look like
I think they're after
Alex.
me.
Oh, you think so? Anyway, but put out the word. Put out the word for people. If there's other people around, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, wherever, they cannot get that. I mean, if they're getting you, in other words, if they can get you, call in and let you know they can get you. And or if it's everybody. But that's sad. I want to hear you.
Okay, well, we'll see what we can do about it. I don't know if we can do anything, but we'll try. Okay, thank you, Carol. All right.
Thank you.
We have Kevin in Ohio. Kevin, how are you today?
Just fine. How are you ladies? Both good?
We're good. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Happy New Year. And,
Happy New Year.
Thank you. And I wanted to warn Melody. Yesterday she was given some inside baseball information that she better look out. Mueller will have her down there in Washington testifying. Whatever she said
no first.
What did I say?
I can't remember. You were giving some kind of inside information about something going on. I thought this is just the right time. I missed it.
Her predictions.
Yeah. You keep on the lookout there. And when it comes to oil business or coal, it sounds real good. We have clean technology, etc. I worked around coal mines for about 10 years as a state soil scientist, and I saw more non-truths than I could count. When it comes to energy, they have the public snowed because they won't release what's in the ingredients in the fracking material, which takes millions and millions of gallons per well, etc., and all that. So it looks good, but we really do have to have our own energy because if they shut off the Middle East or anywhere else, we're going to have oil. I think
now,
it's all in that big plan.
Are you talking in a positive or a negative way on the fracking?
I can't say I don't think fracking is good. And I live in fracking country in eastern Ohio. The noise level is unreal. The traffic level for all the operations you can't bear it. It ruins everything. And now the fracking waters that they pump down there, they do not know. We cannot find out what the ingredients are, and it's proprietary, etc. But it is affecting our water table really, very seriously.
Wow.
And I'm not for it so much. It really needs more control.
I've tried to get somebody on that knows about fracking, and it's been hard to get them to come on the air. I had Marita Moon, and I need to get her back on. She's not an expert on fracking, but she went down and did some research on it, and she brought some positives out of it. But we do need to talk about it more. But I appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah, we do need oil, but I'll tell you, there's other glaring things right in our face. We can't find out where our meat comes from at the market. We can't find out where our food comes from in cans and bottles and everything. The country of origin's never there. And people don't look at our sewage waste treatment plants. What we don't realize that all that's being spread on our country somewhere. All the sludge, and I dealt with that in Ohio. Versus when they shut off all the ocean dumping of sludge, and it's a real horror story. So we take a lot for granted.
We do indeed. They had one of those waste treatment plants have a little blow up there in Kansas City area yesterday. So
well,
somebody lit fire there around the methane gas. Can't do that. No, it was combustion, but yeah. Don't light a match around the methane. All right, Kevin, thank you so much.
God bless you both.
Thanks, God bless you. Thank you for the chuckle. We'll try to keep Melody out of trouble. Keep her. Oh goodness.
Oh, man.
You know, I've got so much going on this weekend, and I need to write you an article. And I was thinking yesterday, I've got several things flying around in my head. But all of a sudden, this song came to mind. I know you always talk about a song. But we were talking about yesterday, you know, and I used the word, that it's confusing to me as to why people think socialism is better, especially our young people, and why this and why that. We see what's going on in this nation. We see it falling away from what it should have been, what it was, what our founding fathers fought and died for. And I know this is really odd that this song popped into my head, but it did. Do you remember, it was Ronnie Millsap, There's a Stranger in My House? There's a stranger in my house, somebody here that I can't see, a stranger in my house, somebody here trying to take her away from me. Well, who's her? It's our liberty. And so that's kind of a precursor to where I might be going with my article if I can get her done before 29 people show up in my house tonight. But you have a busy weekend, too, trying to get out from underneath the snow you had.
Yes,
so
and I
hope you
hear
don't
music.
Get more. I do, too.
I hear music. Yeah.
I'm not ready yet. Okay. Have a great weekend. Let me know if you need anything, like I can help. But you can give me a holler. Better text me. My email's not working right now. Melody, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so much. You all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Stay warm wherever you are. And we'll be back on Monday.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.